Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. The old tank, the Expedition, was starting to get a little bit of a bucking and jerking sensation. I thought, she's a 2003, so she is 20 years old. We've had it for 10 years for the family. But when it started bucking and jerking, you start going, man, is it the tranny? You're like, man, it's got 180,000 miles on the clock. Is it a coil? So you start doing the simple stuff first, right? Well, I'm going to get into that. So when I replaced the first set of coils, if you can see that right there, here, let me show you a stock one. That's what the stock ones look like. Engine was relatively clean. This is going off about 10 years ago, so I've had these as spares. I replaced them with XLs, right? My wife, bless her heart, came home one day from work, hard day of work, and she's gone ahead and replaced the O2 sensors. Can't get my big hands down in there. She crawled up underneath. This is about 9 years ago. She replaced all 4 of them. There's the bag of them in there. But the main thing is, this time around, when I went to go pull my XLs that I had put on there, I was starting to get this. Look at the difference between that one there and that one there. You notice what's going on around the hole where it goes down onto the spark plug? Look at the difference there. So I had water in one of my holes where the spark plug goes down into that cylinder shaft. These were getting inundated with water. This is kind of what the rest of them look like. There. So, and I'm glad I attacked this. Come on over. So at first I thought it was just a thermostat. And if you look here, you can kind of see this area here where the thermostat was starting to weep and starting to seep. So I'm thinking to myself, oh yeah, and another thing, brown paper bags, 4 bolts, driver's side, stick coils, 3 7mm, 1 8mm. So if you label stuff, throw it down. But as you can see, I've got the big intake. A lot of you guys right now are coming into this stupid bar and you're going to ask yourself, which nobody's talking about, is it serviceable? Absolutely, when this whole thing comes out. So when your whole intake comes out, you can get this off. Otherwise, you're going to go to the parts store, and you know the kids that ask you, and man, they're nice kids, don't get me wrong, but they go, year, make, model, engine size. What they don't know is that here, this is going to be broken. Come on over. So if you can see here on the passenger side, and where I had my first spark plug, here I believe, here, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, I think it's there. I think so. This was draining water right down and into that cylinder where the spark plug is. So this gasket, and I'm kind of putting the horse before the cart here. Putting the cart before the horse. How does anybody say that? Somebody type down below and let me know. But this gasket was broken. And if you look at it, you can see that it was squished. So you can go in here. So I went to go pull this out first, my thermostat. And I think that's probably, I don't know if that's original. I don't know. It's funny, it says 2 radiator. I've noticed guys say, well, I leave them this way. Well, that's not the way they're supposed to go. Towards the radiator. So you'd want that facing that way, towards the radiator. So where guys say they leave them open or a certain way, Ford says that way. So I'm going to get rid of that part there. So thermostat, simple inexpensive part to replace. But that's not the easy part. So as I'm going along and I'm taking out all of the bolts in there this way, I could get to that one. I could get to this one. But to save you some time, you're not going to be able to get to this one up here. There's no way in living heck that you can get to it. And then of course they've got the bigger ones there that I've reused, or that we have reused. And shout out to J&J Auto the brothers that did this job for me. I got it about a quarter of the way done, and I got in there at the age of 51, and I said, there's no way in heck I can do this. So this is not serviceable. You're not going to be able to take this off without getting in here. So I'm going to set this across, and this is your thermostat crossbar. All right, so there's your thermostat crossbar, and that's the pickup for your heater. So if you come over here and look, this right here, where that was in here as well, when I started chipping away at all this stuff, you could actually come in here and see that it was not sealing well or sealing properly at all. So it was actually coming down. Here's your valve cover, and it was coming down and again saturating that #1 plug. So while I was in there, I said, brother, and this is a job, and I recommend if you're going to keep your old Expedition, like we've done the suspension front and rear, we've done the shocks on the rear, heavy duty shocks, we put 4 brand new tires, and at this point you're building value into your vehicle, and it's old, and you got to go, well, is it worth keeping or is it worth buying? Well, I know what's wrong with this one. I also know the stuff I haven't done and the stuff it's probably going to need done. So when this is replaced, I mean, it's plastic. And there's that plastic baffle on the bottom that all falls apart on everybody. So when you look down, you start seeing this thing starting to wear. It's probably time to replace this thing here. Underneath of your intake, while you're there, and great mechanic showed me this, Ford puts a weld on your heater tube somewhere around in here. I believe it's right in there. Go ahead and replace this, okay? And that's going to sit up underneath the intake. Another failure, okay? Another failure. This was rattled loose. So eventually, another 20, 30, maybe 5 miles, who knows? You get all this done, nobody's talking about the small little things, okay? So I believe that was, I forget what he called it. I'm sorry. If you know what that is, comment down below, okay? Help somebody out on this, but replace it while you're in there. So while I'm there, I'm going ahead, I'm doing the coils, check. I'm doing new spark plugs, because that's what they look like. And I did anti-seize. That's my old anti-seize from 10 years ago. I was sick with cancer. I was worried about my family having a decent vehicle. It was running perfect, but I went ahead and I put new stick coils and I put brand new spark plugs in just to make sure that the family was good. Well, look at that one there. And that's JR. Pulled that thing out of there. He had said he's never seen one with the threads break off in the engine before. So he had to get an extractor. I had already done the first 4, and these engines like it because of the aluminum heads on it. They like it when the engine block is hot, okay? And if you take a little bit of a keyboard cleaner, turn it upside down and make them cold, the steel you want to shrink. The aluminum you want heated, it expands. Steel contracts, aluminum shrinks. So heat and cold, you got 2 different things. You got steel going into aluminum or aluminium, depending on our friends and which part of the world they're from and listening to. So we've got all that done. I'm thinking to myself, brother, while I'm there, look at this water pump. So this water pump gasket was crushed. So, and I had never seen a water pump pit right there. If you can see that, it was pitting. So I said, you know, while you're in there, do the water pump. And of course, I'm that dad. I went, well, hell, while we're in there, let's go ahead and do the timing chains. So, timing gears, timing chains, the plastic guides, and let me show you. This is when you got a good mechanic and he comes to you and say, because this is what they're supposed to look like. Okay? And that's what the other side looked like right there. So this was looking at total failure. So if this would have gone out and gone bad, it's just good to go ahead and replace them. So I think I'm covering everything here to get this video uploaded. That's your tensioners for your timing chains. And look at the gaskets everybody talks about on the inside. That gasket right there, I'm going to turn it that way. There is no gasket. So there was failure on these eventually as well. So, all right. So I think I've covered just about everything before I can throw all this stuff away. But if you've got a hit and a misfire in bank 1 and bank 2, and it's just in one bank, then you're probably leaking water on one side. If you've got bank 1 and 2, and you're knocking on 180,000 miles or 200,000 miles, and you're going to keep it, then the investment, it's probably best to go ahead and pick up the Dorman. Now, I'll talk to you about the Dorman versus the Ford OEM. If you look down here, little spit never hurt nothing. So that's Ford. So this is stock. It's never been gone to. See these brass Zerk fittings, or the Zerk inserts? I think they're Zerks. I call them Zerks. If they're another name, make fun of me. I don't care. Well, on the Gormans, come on around. Don't know if you're going to be able to see it. Yeah, right here. So those are threaded screws right there. That's what holds these down, is a threaded screw going into the Gormans. So they don't have all of that brass Zerk insert. So one last thing. You know, when you start getting hits and you start getting misses, I believe that's a connector. I believe that is a fuel injection connector. You can see that that's was getting goo and stuff on it, and possibly burnt and shorted out. Who knows if that was caused by water? But we had a lot of catastrophic things happen all at one time. All at one time. So anyways, we're all done with everything. Come on over this way and I'll show you pretty much everything that I had to do. You're gonna take off your air filter, and you're just gonna take off your power steering brackets and just work your way down into it if you're able and you're capable of doing it. While we're in there, did the valve covers. So for me, it started off with, well, hey man, since we're in there, let's do the valve covers. And on the way home, I go, well, let's do the water pump as well. And I went, well, if we're doing everything, do the heater thing as well. And he recommended that. But then I'm like, well, the valve covers on these things, they're incorporated into the timing chain on the outer front cover. So if you're already in there, and if you can't, I mean, if you can afford it, go ahead and do it. Because these things, man, the 2 valves, you're good to go. The 3 valves, talked to the same guy, said his brother's got a 3 valve with the cam phasers. Says he's got one that's got 450,000 miles. So again, man, I do the shout out to J&J Auto. Thanks to JR, Nathan, and their other brother that I can never remember his name, but he's a cool dude too. So 3 brothers, man, I recommend highly going and seeing them. And I'll put a link to their shop or something down below. All right, man, please subscribe if you're here. You've seen a lot of the DIY stuff. You've seen the valve covers on the Sport Track. Update on the Sport Track. My wife lost vision in one of her eyes from the accident. Not the oh woe is me. There ain't no GoFundMe. It is what it is. Life is what it is. When you have lemons given to you, you make lemonade, right? So we didn't get upset about the expedition. We built it. We made it happen. And we got a table here to talk to you guys. That'll maybe help you. I forget what it's called. Anyways, look at the table. This stuff's going in the garbage and another video uploaded. So thank you. Please subscribe to our friends in Russia, Czechoslovakia, Canada, and Mexico. Man, we appreciate you guys, and stay subscribed, okay? Tell your friends. All right? Thanks. Later.